Hi, and welcome to World Blockchain Roundtable. Today, I'm getting things started off, but hopefully our loyal emperor will show up and join us. We have got, let's see, today is episode 251, How a Government Can Use Blockchain to Manage Tariffs. Maybe somebody can figure it out. We'll be right back with my co-host right after this. Welcome everybody to World Blockchain Roundtable, episode 251. How government can use blockchain to manage tariffs. For our hosts today are Zach from the Legacy Right, Andrew Joseph from the Legacy Right, and everyone's BFF, Satoshi Shawn, and little old me. Like I said, hopefully the Emperor will be jumping in and joining us to take over his role. Let's see. First, quick update on WBRT ownership tokens and distribution from last week's episode. A blockchain DAO became a cabinet position at the White House. Each host from last week will receive 53 lot. Each topic contributor will receive 33 lot. Last week's theme was nominated by I Am for I Am, and he will receive an additional 33 lot. Ownership tokens come with perpetual passive income, free edits, and governance votes. The WBRT theme suggestion is current right now, so make your suggestions no later than March 15th. And this is a way that you can participate and be part of the show. So once again, this week's theme is how government can use blockchain to manage tariffs. Let's see. We won't get into current events yet, right?
No, I don't think so. Not just yet.
Tariffs are kind of our current events, huh?
They are. Yeah, it's kind of what price it was picked.
I think that's a very timely topic. Okay, I don't know that I've got my, see, this is why we need the Emperor. I do not have my, hold on. Sorry, guys.
You're fine.
I've got to pull up the WBRT layer. There we go. Sorry.
Calm down, Andrew. She's married.
Well, it's,
what?
I was talking.
You're fine.
Oh no, my dim social is down. Does anybody else have access to the questions?
Just a second. I'll see if I can pull it up on mine.
Okay.
Let's.
Mine says down for migration.
It's been saying that a lot, but then I think it refreshes pretty quickly.
Try it on a different browser because you know how
that too.
That's fine.
Then I have to know my password.
Give me just a minute.
No, you don't have to know your password just to click on the link. It takes you to the page.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I haven't been able to log in for
signed in, wouldn't it?
Huh?
I thought it'd have to be signed in.
No, I haven't been able to log in for like 2 years.
Oh my gosh. Don't you know a guy that could help you with that?
Yeah, he tried, and it's like, I don't know. I even started a second account, and he moved everything over.
See, this makes me sign in to go. No, maybe I can do it this way. No, you're right. But Andrew, if you
There you
figure,
go.
You
Or-
can't like vote
No.
and stuff, but you can see the questions and scroll.
okay,
I was able to at least jump in and add a topic for next month.
good,
All right.
perfect.
Just a second.
That's about it. That's all I could do.
Good morning,
Let's
Nanny.
see.
Okay, I found it. Oh, Andrew, you've got it. I'll let you drive.
Yeah.
That's great.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
That's no
Um,
problem.
Do you want to jump into the questions then, and kind of since you've got the scrolling going?
Okay, I guess so.
What's all the what's the like explanation part?
Oh,
Oh, that's just a general description of what we do here for the World
Explain
Blockchain
it.
Roundtable.
Explain it.
Well,
I thought there was
basically,
an opposite.
You never know if there might be new viewers, new people that
Okay.
come on, find us.
dear friends, the next episode of the World Blockchain Roundtable on Thursday, March 12th. The World Blockchain Roundtable is for anyone and everyone. All blockchains are welcome. All perspectives are welcome. The first hour, our host will answer questions related to this week's theme. Then our host will stick around for the World Blockchain After Show, airing on YouTube. Topic for episode 251 is how government can use blockchain to manage tariffs. Nominated by I Am for I Am, your Emperor William. And just a reminder, for World Blockchain Roundtable DAO, a vote down here, and a link to it. World Blockchain Roundtarians are permitted to suggest a theme change at any time. If you want to request a theme change, simply make the suggestion under the post in the replies. In the event that there are multiple suggestions, these theme changes are the highest votes reply will be chosen. World Blockchain Roundtable welcomes the blockchain aficionados to answer questions and topics that's chosen by their community. World Blockchain Roundtable layer. Please leave one related question topic for discussion in the comments for this post with the host. If your comment gets discussed, you will receive layer ownership tokens from the World Blockchain Roundtable layer. Hosts and topic contributors will receive layer ownership tokens from the World Blockchain Roundtable layer each week, which will be equal to the total number of views the episode gets on all platforms over the span of 1 week, rounded to the nearest significant digit. Hosts will split 2/3 of the total lot. Topic contributors will split 1/6 of the total lot. World Blockchain Roundtable will get 1/6 of the total lot. An additional lot is the amount equal to what each topic contributor gets will be created for the person who is just a week's theme. Also, if the host ended the show within 5 minutes before after the 1 hour allotted, they too will get the same amount of lot as the topic contributors.
I forgot
It's
about that.
It's important to note each lot comes with 1 free edit in the layer, 2 a portion of all matter mined in the layer, and 3 future governance votes in the layer. We will only discuss the topic 2 to 4 comments, or the top 2 to 4 comments. Good luck. Please use this format, and it's got the description of the format. And we'll watch live at worldblockchainroundtable.org.
all right. Now everyone's caught up. Everyone can play.
Right?
Mhm.
Okay. Let me refresh it just real quick, make sure there's no other questions, because that's our thing around here.
Yes. I think I am
Okay.
put some in this morning.
Ultimately,
Let me put my
who pays the
Let me put my lipstick on.
You do that.
I'm going
Maybe you can read
around.
it. Okay.
You want
La 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 la.
You want me to read it? Ultimately,
if you
who
want to.
pays? Ultimately, who pays the tariff tax? Wouldn't it be great for cryptos if they could be paid in a cryptocurrency? I
Oh,
don't understand the question. Do we want to? Do we want
I
to
think
pay?
it's
I guess it's like
Crypto is trying
the petrodollar. Like oil has to be purchased
Ah.
with U.S. dollars. So if you force it to especially I guess if you force it to a crypto for all tariffs, it would make that crypto worth a lot more.
That's fair.
And then just that regular question: who pays tariff taxes? does it go to people, the consumers eventually, or does it stay with the countries and corporations?
Well, if done correctly, meaning not paying double to triple digit percentage, you keep tariffs at a low, and it's effectively a consumption tax implanted from an importation tax, but it's the importers that are supposed to be paying it as they bring in product and resources from other countries, and then you off tax it through the consumption sales revenue or price that companies would sell to their prospective consumers. So everybody effectively ends up everybody's going to effectively end up paying something into it in order to effectively help revenueize the country.
Yeah.
If that's a good word. So that's how it's supposed to work. But who actually pays the tariff now? How does it actually work in today's day and age?
It's a very, as usual on this show, it seems like a simple question, but it's so loaded. And if you really think about it, it blows your mind, and it's a huge question. So the word there is tax. And if you believe tax is theft, it's the same thing. But this was the original scam. This is the original tax. Income tax is a brand new thing that was like started for our grandparents. It hasn't been around that long, and that's a blatant theft. Like, people wouldn't stand for it before that. It's like, it was ridiculous. So a tariff tax, explained simple, is like, hey, we got a government, we have to run it. So we won't take your money for living here. We love you. We're all, part of this government country. So any other country or corporation or whatever you want to say that wants access to our markets, we're going to charge you a fee, and we can run our country off that. See, we don't take your money, guys. We're taking it from these other countries, goods and stuff coming in. It's the original tax, the original scam. And then people are sold the idea of, hey, I can get, rum that's made in Kentucky or, Wyoming, or I can get rum that's imported from the, Caribbean that's exotic and it's better, or I can buy a car from Germany or a car from, Italy, and it's a better car. It's a better engineering, but I'm paying a fee for that. I'm paying extra to get this, for lack of a better word, exotic imported thing. That's how it was kind of sold. That's why those things were more expensive. It's the whole idea of like a duty-free shop in an airport. It's kind of silly now because, with all the taxes people pay, it's goofy. But that's kind of what it was supposed to be. But it was just the original scam, and people paid that for stuff that was brought in from other countries because it was supposed to be better or exotic or something special.
But why is it a scam if it's a consumption tax? There's so many people that are all for getting rid of income tax and all that kind of tax, but having just a flat tax. How is it different than a flat tax?
I think I can answer that.
Tax is theft. So when you're saying, how's this tax different than that tax? It's all bad. It's all tax. But this was the original. The people pay. The consumer pays. The regular citizen pays. Any tax falls down to them. But this was just the original way for governments to tax people. But it was voluntary, like you always say. Mm-hmm. I could buy that rum from Wyoming.
So is the income tax.
I could buy that but there no one's going to arrest you.
Yes.
No one's going to arrest you if you don't buy the Caribbean rum and pay the extra $2 versus if you buy the, Wyoming rum and it's $2 cheaper. You're not paying the income tax or the import tax on that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll pay the premium to get the Caribbean rum. I don't know if
I feel
Wyoming
personally attacked as someone who lived in Wyoming and in Kentucky. I feel personally attacked here. I think I'm going to leave this channel. See ya.
Stay
I'm
with us, Andrew. Stay with
Okay.
us.
Okay.
And
Okay.
a rummy. I've been in Wyoming,
Yeah, the-
Kentucky, and I'm a rummy.
I will say Wyoming does have some good coffee from some monks over that way. Great coffee.
So this
I will
question.
pay for that.
I'm sorry,
I
Zach.
I really think it's really their effort to impose a value added tax, but not call it a value added tax. They're trying to
I'm
put it
gonna.
over. And this in the same way, the income tax, it was kind of forced on people because of the Great Depression and everything.
And it does
Uh,
all
the-
go to the. I think his point in the beginning of this question is to bring up the fact that the people are the ones that suffer from tariffs because it gets passed on to the people. The companies aren't, lowering their cost of or taking the hit of the tariff.
Mm.
It goes to the people. But then it's interesting. The second part of the question
Or
is saying,
are they?
wouldn't it be great for cryptos if they could be paid? So would it be great for cryptos if they were paid in cryptocurrency? I mean, that would move a lot of volume to the cryptocurrency markets, but I don't know. It's still a tax on the people. So
I know I saw a post
to be
on.
smart. To be smart, the people don't get hit all of a sudden. This was one of the first things about finance that I learned from my Uncle Ted. It was when Japan. I was a little kid, and Japan started importing these ridiculously cheap cars, and were crushing and destroying Detroit. I mean, just unbelievable, like a quarter or an eighth of the price of a car. So they raised these tariffs on it so that there were and some Japanese car makers sold cars for a loss, but they didn't raise the price, 5x, which is what the government was trying to get them to do. They raised it like 5% every year to where now all cars are about the same. But I mean, eventually, but you got to think these people think long term. So if you hit them with a 50% tariff, prices aren't going to go up 50%, but they're going to go up 50% over, the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's I can't remember exactly the exact terms how it's described, but it's basically the razor blade strategy. You sell the razor blades and you sell the heads of the razor blades. One's going to be at a loss, and you make it up on the other part of the razor blade. And that's how you keep people involved in your market. You make a living.
Well, I think that's the conundrum that we're in right now, actually, is the fact that you have this tariff issue, but then you have all the other excessive taxes that have been created over the decades, over the last couple centuries, really, but over the decades especially. And that's where we're at a conundrum. So, like, where is the better fork in the road to take when it comes to the inevitability of taxation? I mean, it's inevitable when you have government structures. They're going to try to get their pay in some capacity. They're going to try to force that upon you, even if it's as little and incremental as possible. So where can we go? Like, which of the two forks at the road do we take to try to get ourselves out of the conundrum? And I think when he's asking, wouldn't it be great for cryptos if they would be paid in cryptocurrency? I think that's the fork that we're missing here. Like, we should take the fork where, in order to retain as much self-custody as possible within our decisions, even though it is still compulsory in the taxation, it would be better to move everything into a blockchain regiment, and then perhaps that could start withering away and getting us back to a scenario where back in the olden days, where tariffs were effectively it. And it was very incremental, very small margin. Yeah, you got hit on something, but it was effectively, like you said, Sean, it was still voluntary.
Well, see, that's kind of the scam now. And I think tariffs are the most fair tax. Like you said, if you're going to have a government, you got to fund it. This is a good way that would kind of be voluntary, except with the overregulation, as we've made our government so big, it made it hard for a manufacturing base to be in the United States. Like Stuart said over in the chat, now we buy everything from China. We use all of our money, it goes there. So we forced ourselves to pay these tariffs. Because now there is no rum being made in Kentucky. There is no rum being made in Montana because of the overregulation. That manufacturing base has moved outside of the United States, and we have to pay the tariffs now. So if you want certain things, you're going to pay.
So it is an opt-in.
It's not.
You don't think so?
No, not anymore, because the regulation has pushed out the companies to make those things in the United States. So now if you want whatever X, Y, or Z, the only place you can get it is from a company outside of the United States. Like the medication that we've always talked about, Lisa. It's made, like 95% of it's, made outside of the United States.
Yeah, which they're changing part of the structure,
that's how it's forced. That's how it's forced. If you want to buy medication, you're not buying any medication bought in the United States. You're buying it that's made somewhere else that has a tariff on it. So it's not voluntary now because of the system we've created with our giant government and overregulation.
That's changing. Like I said, they're bringing medical manufacturing.
It's not now. It's maybe changing. Maybe it'll be
doing
a long time from now. But today, it's not. And today we're forced to.
This Stuart Gorham actually brings up a nice little reason. I mean, we the people have the power by being the largest consumer nation in the world. True. But we continue purchasing foreign goods such as Chinese goods, which is fast, cheap. I mean, to gratify our gotta have it now or keeping up with the Joneses mentality.
Yep.
Maybe we need to fix our mentality and our culture today. Let's do less keeping up with the Joneses and more maintain within our means. And perhaps we'll get away from cheap foreign goods unless we absolutely need it.
I think
that's the thing. Yeah.
For that to happen, though, we have to get rid of the planned obsolescence that these companies have built into all these things, and that's why people need it so cheap. Because you've got to. We just had our TV go out, and I'm like, didn't we just buy this? I don't know. Mm-hmm. And my husband grokked it up and looked, and it said, "Oh, typically those TV that size and whatever last for about 5 to 7 years."
5 years, yeah.
5 to 7 years for a TV. I mean, when I was a kid, I think we had the same box for my whole life. I don't know, but
you grew up in Texas. You remember Curtis Mathis?
Curtis
Mathis TVs. They had like a lifetime warranty or 25 years or something. And the commercial was these like people that got married and they went out and bought the TV, and they're watching it, and then they're watching it with their kids, and then they're watching it with their grandkids, and then they're watching it and they're like 90 years old, and then it breaks. And then the guy's like, "Well, honey, I guess it's time to buy a new Curtis Mathis," because they lasted so long.
Yeah.
But if it broke, in every, I don't care how tiny your town was, you had an electronics store where a guy would fix your stuff. We live in a disposable society.
Yeah.
Where there's a whole, you can look this up and it'll blow your mind. But there is this whole economy of disgusting, putrid, vomit, sick, gross, make you cry. In India, in Sri Lanka, in Bangladesh, people live. These are huge, like shanty towns, cities, but people are making like brand new products that we buy in mud and crap. And I mean, they're just, they get all of this broken stuff, they tear it apart, they smelt stuff. I mean, it's fourth world country. It's unbelievably terrible how gross this is. And then in one room, they have a bunch of, clean products that get shipped out, and we buy it like it was made in a sterile factory.
Well,
Yeah.
that
So-
goes to Zach's point of bringing up Stuart's comment that we have to change our mindset of what we value. I do
We do.
thrifting and antiques and all that, and I find the most beautiful furniture that's 100 years old or hundreds of years old. And meanwhile, these people they're like, well, my kids don't want it. Nobody wants it, and because they're all buying IKEA crap, particle board, cheap.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's Zach's beautiful buffet. And so but we have to value it differently. And, and I don't know that we can start that trend, but ideally that would be great if people valued things lasting a long time, valued quality, had pride in things that were made in America and chose
Mhm.
to buy that, because then it does make our country greater. If it, just like with cryptocurrency, if you're using one currency and you're putting your energy back into that, then the currency all becomes, everybody benefits from that, because everybody holding that currency then is gaining value as you're putting that energy
Yeah.
in.
Stuart,
how
I want to
somebody-
answer your question, the second question you asked. I think when parents stopped becoming stewards and being in charge of their children, and the government took more of a role, children became more of your first question. Kids actually became a thing with keeping up with the Joneses. Oh, my
Meal
kids had
ticket.
this. Oh, I've bought this for my kids. They're literally a trophy that you can dress up and show off to get clout with your within your community.
Oh, thank you, Stuart. I don't have common sense, but thank you. That's a kind gesture. I love that comment.
Yeah.
I think I have common sense. Let me look. Hold on just a second.
We've got a few around there, Andrew.
We got Andrew has
Glenn
a
Beck's
couple.
common sense.
There we go.
Glenn Beck. What about Thomas Paine?
I have that in here too somewhere. I don't know. I'll find
there
it
you
later.
go.
I just knew about that one right
There
off
you-
my head.
There you go. Andrew has common sense. Glenn Beck and Thomas Paine.
What's next?
Oh God.
When before Glenn Beck went a little off his rockers, I guess.
Woo. Yeah.
We go to the next one.
Anyway. Okay,
Yeah.
we can go to the next one. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, I did want to comment real quick about this thing about the being paid in cryptocurrency. You had to be careful about which cryptocurrency you use, not the stable coins, because there's code inserted in certain cryptocurrencies that could be used to freeze assets. And I just remember seeing that on X.
Like Joe always said, if you're using, I mean, there's not really a difference between using a cryptocurrency that's backed by the U.S. dollar. Just use the banking system. It's the same,
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Bitcoin Cash, yeah, but that's not the one that does that freezes purchases. Anyways,
no. I was saying that's what
yeah.
you should use. Yeah.
Yeah.
The utility of it.
Beyond revenue collection, what broader benefit or risks might government face in adopting blockchains for tariff management, such as impacts on trade facilitations, international cooperation, or data privacy? I was looking at it on the stream. I didn't have it open in the tab.
Benefits or risks like governments face.
I think a lot of the benefits could be, brought in with smart contracts.
Yeah.
And it would take away a lot of the, we'd lose a lot of jobs with that innovation, but there would be a lot of like low-level people that have to, and especially low-level bureaucrats that would have to, approve or move stuff where things could automatically be done, and faster. Like literally, once the inspector inspects it, he doesn't have to go and process it, tell the 4 people. It doesn't have to go through all this chain.
Yeah.
As soon as it's approved, that gets moved through the port or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Kind of lighten the load
if you're using
of the
crypto,
bureaucracy.
you've always usually you're going to have be susceptible to attacks, like 51% attack or other attacks. So, but that's the same way, I guess, with banking or anything else.
Yeah, you're
And
never
data
going to be able.
privacy would be
You
better.
can mitigate risk as best as you can, but there's always going to be risk. I mean, we live in the real world, so I mean, you just have to justify, like, okay, well, why is this better? Well, to your point, Sean, like on the blockchain, you have smart contracts, you have a little bit more transparency, but then you also have a little bit more privacy because then you're giving people the ability to maintain their privacy within the blockchain realm with like self custody
Yeah.
and et cetera, et cetera.
As far as data privacy and all that, I really just see kind of benefits. I don't see a lot of. No, but okay. If you want to be, totally honest, it would be harder to governments to kind of scam and cheat. So that would be for them, I guess.
Yeah.
A bad thing, but it's not a bad thing. So.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is it causes the government to have to? If a risk for the government is that it would cause transparency in what was happening with those tariffs, and where they're actually going, who it's benefiting, what pockets or lobby groups it would be being passed through. So that might be really scary for a government, but probably be good for we the people.
It depends on who's in charge of the government and the long-term trajectory of their decision making. I think, some people in government are just out for pork, and I think that's just to be expected. And there are very minimal amount of actors who are actually trying to improve the society that they live in. You kind of see that with the whole Elon Musk sending out the big long email. Is anybody actually here? Are you just gaming the system kind of thing?
Everything you just said shows how messed up the system is. Who's in control? It's supposed to be we the people. Some certain amount of pork is expected. I mean, all these things never were supposed to happen. Never.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem is when they say we the people. We the people is the community, right? And there's when it's the community, there's not really a lot of boundaries. It's just a porous environment. So you have to.
That's where I lie. That's where I lie. Very real to Catholic social teaching. You've got to acknowledge that there are some people that are the haves and some people that are the have-nots, but you have to find a balance within it. And I think that's where blockchain can find that balance is you have people with the means that can be utilized as stewards to ensure that the people without the means can be protected in their own right so that they can have the ability to work if they want, to live, to be able to feed themselves and their families, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's what we need to do is find the balance of the have-nots and the haves and bring it all together because there's always going to be somebody that has more than the other.
I think outsourcing responsibility to external parties is always a failing strategy because that's what we see happen nowadays. You see the church do that. They said just have the government take care of it, and a bunch of other different organizations do the same thing. And you need to have some actual pillars in society who, are on the ground trying to help people like it should be.
In small communities with relationship, not money. Yeah.
That's right.
I agree.
Serve one God, not three in sex, money, and rock and roll. Although rock and roll is awesome, though.
Right. Zach, do you remember those days?
The sex, drugs, and money and rock and roll?
No, the rock and roll days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Did anybody else want to comment before we go to the next one?
I'm good.
Okay. What role could blockchain play in enhancing risk management and fraud detection for tariff enforcement, and how might it shift customs from reactive audits to proactive monitoring?
Interesting.
We kind of touched on it with transparency as far as fraud deduction.
And the smart contracts, Sean, because if they weren't in compliance, it wouldn't fulfill.
Yeah,
so
and
the transaction wouldn't happen.
And also, one of the first things that blockchain had been used for, because it was so tailor-made and worked so well, is supply chain. Where you can follow something the whole time, and that transparency that screwed up China. I don't know if you remember,
Yeah.
like 5-6 years ago when they started using that, because it showed the breakdown. It showed where, they sent all this medication, and at the end of the line, it was just sugar pills, and they could go back and say, here, this is where they changed it. This is where it got messed with. So
I'm glad it was just sugar pills. It could have been something far worse, but the fact is that you can find and you can just, it's easier to figure things like that out to mitigate risk so that doesn't happen again or happens less often. That's where we should have blockchain play a larger role in this risk assessment.
Well, I mean, there's been reports in the past of fake gold in China, and this could be, a way to, like it says, instead of reactive audits, to be proactive monitoring. You can, as Sean had said, you keep an eye on how things are produced, and that'll really provide a lot more stability in the global market eventually.
They'd have to get rid of paper contracts then, Andrew.
I mean, why not have smart contracts?
Or at least know the difference in the two. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So, all right. Well, that's all questions for now. I guess we could talk about the current events.
Get better questions there, Emperor.
Yeah, the week we have all this time for current events, there's not a lot of current events that are from this week.
Right.
This week specifically.
Trump was in Heber, Kentucky. I mean,
yeah, and the screen went green. I was talking about that.
There's one thing I thought was weird, interesting. I don't even know if you guys know about it. You know what Elon Musk did?
What?
To Russia?
Mm-mm.
Oh, this is, you don't know about this? You haven't heard about this? You don't know about this? Okay.
Mm-mm.
So
No,
this, to me, I don't know how to feel about it. Russia is for lack of a better word, I'll say that, superpower. So they're in war with Iran, or with war with Iran. So many wars. They're in a war with Ukraine, right? They're using Starlink for everything. They're using Starlink for their artillery, for their drones, for everything, right? But they're not supposed to be because of the sanctions. But they have, and they have, I mean, they're a superpower like the United States. We have our own satellite systems and, tracking and war stuff, secret war stuff. But in reality, Starlink works better than all the stuff that their government has made.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been getting, and this is the interesting part. Over the last few years, not just since the war, but over the last few years, especially since the war started 2 years ago, they've been buying and getting Starlinks through Kazakhstan and through other, surrounding countries. And then just the soldiers have been putting them online, right? And they've been using them, but but they were technically not supposed to be using them, but their government's like, if you can win, it's what is it? If you win, they say it's strategy. If you lose, it was like a war crime or whatever. So they're utilizing these more and more. But over the past year, 2 years, they've become dependent on the Starlink stuff, and they don't even use their own stuff. It's been kind of collecting mothballs, so it's not even in use, right? And Elon Musk shut them down. He shut down every Starlink on the front line for Russia and everything in Russia, right? But he did it and told, well, I don't know if he told us, I'm going too far. The Ukrainians knew in advance that it was going to happen. And they took back like 40 miles within 24 hours across the front when it happened. Because none of their artillery worked. They couldn't use their drones. They couldn't see anything. But here's the bad thing. So the Ukrainians' intelligence forces were Indian scamming the Russian soldiers. They're getting the phone calls. They're like, Starlink, how can we help you? And they're like, yes, my Starlink is broken. What are your coordinates? And what is it? And they're literally sending to Ukrainian intelligence, here's my broken Starlink, here's the location. And then they're like, we will send a signal. And they send a bomb and then blow them up. So it was all coordinated. Musk was part of it. And they're saying that the government, our government really runs. Starlink runs it all. And it was their decision. So they had that much swing, and either they could just tell Musk to do it, or if Musk just did it because he, I guess.
Well, didn't that kind of go hand in hand with the information that, we've kind of all known, but it came out that DARPA started Facebook and called it LifeLog. And then the day that it was taken down, it was given to Zuckerberg, that the government really owns these large companies. They put a face in front of it or a patsy or whatever, but it really is owned by or started by our own. I shouldn't even say they're ours. I don't know.
Yeah,
the government.
Well,
I don't. But
it also puts into perspective that this is probably what, if we were to get involved in some capacity to begin with, this is what we should have done to begin with. Logistically, this is better. Really, like, put them at the whims of their ills of outsourcing. Just like we've outsourced ourselves and outstretched ourselves
exactly
where we've screwed ourselves.
Yeah. It's kind of the
show them
with the tariff thing, how we have to buy everything from outsourcing. It's literally what they did. They became dependent on the Starlink instead of a subsidy, and it crippled them. It killed them for like 72 hours. They were just crushed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, welcome the great and powerful I am we.
Thank you.
In the center too. In the center as well.
Yeah.
I'm traveling. I'm at my spring break cottage. You can see behind me
in Pompeii.
Yeah. And so what did I miss? I couldn't get
all
through
the customs.
I was having problems getting through customs. They needed real ID, and impers don't carry those things,
Well, how is it?
But impers do carry gold.
That's interesting. Real ID thing. Do you guys know what real ID is besides William?
I don't know. I don't have one.
No, I don't. I refuse to.
I've got one. I think when I moved, I want to move here.
I know that it's chipped with an RFID in it.
So it's an ID that was supposed to be a national ID that the government passed and required people to get by a certain date, and I never even heard of it until like months ago. So
it's only if you were going to go on the airport or something like that.
That was the initial because it's been around since the idea has probably been around since like the early.
Yeah, but it's a law. There's a date. Everyone is supposed to have one, or else. So I think
it got passed under Bush's administration.
Voter ID or whatever that comes out, I don't think people are going to care, and they're going to put a time thing on like over the next 7 years. Everyone has to have one the next, because it's a big rollout. I don't think
they've been putting time. They've been like readjusting the time constraint since it first got passed in like 2008.
Yeah, they kept delaying it.
Yeah, they kept delaying it. And initially, they ended up making it to where like if you want to fly or use the airport, you'll need to have real ID. And then now, recently, they're expanding it even further. So. It's like increments. This is totalitarianism, surveillance state.
You can use your passport. If you have a passport.
Yeah. You can have a passport.
You don't need a real ID, so you don't have
But that's the general eventually they're going to override that and make the real ID.
Yeah, the real ID
the passport.
It's going to be it's required. So when you go, if you have your passport, they'll be like, sorry, you can't fly.
You
I'm
know,
okay with not flying.
well,
Mhm.
you know, I have to beware of the Ides of March. You know,
Mm.
it's that time of year where, you know, Brutus
What
can
is the odds?
stab me in the back or something.
Was the odds like right around this part, or is that the end of March? I don't
The
remember.
15th. It's the middle of
It
the
is.
month. Hmm.
Oh
See, we're
shoot!
only a few days away.
Yeah.
That's why I had to escape to the cottage. And,
Yeah.
Mhm.
There
so
is.
what happened with the tariffs?
We answered all the questions, and
You answered all the questions.
We started attacking Iran, so we got to figure out other things other than tariffs.
I think there were only three questions. We answered them all.
Yeah. My
Mhm.
wife says the customs asked, "Do you have anything to declare?" And she says, "I declare my husband insane." So they wouldn't let me in for a while.
Wow. How is anyone working if they're not being paid right now at TSA?
They're supposed to be
Well-
being reimbursed after they go and fix all the finances again.
Yeah, something like that.
Such a game.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
So there was something happened just yesterday, I believe. There was a recent MOU or memorandum of understanding between the SEC and the CFTC. Yesterday, March. This is March 11th. Is that we're on the 12th. Okay. So they are supposed to be working together for on issues of money and investing, and it's quite interesting. And so they're kind of going to be friends instead of fighting all the time over who gets to be in charge of money or Bitcoin or commodities or whatever. So I don't know that that's going to be good for cryptos or not.
Probably
Two
not.
bosses instead of one.
Let's just say it doesn't matter if you're dealing with private, private cryptos, like
If you're not
Monero,
dealing with
Nano,
U.S.
all the
currency.
others.
Yeah.
But, boy, I wished I had some. Just saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Send the Emperor some Monero, ladies and gentlemen.
I have a lot of boating accidents, unfortunately. Yeah.
Or Bitcoin Cash.
Oh. All right. Well,
The real Bitcoin.
What's going on in the world?
If you want some guns,
you
man,
need-
just go to any lake.
If you want real Bitcoins, Satoshis.
So what is going on in the world? Please tell me. There's current events to talk about. Please tell me.
Apparently, they're using white phosphorus over in the Middle East. I saw that.
I mean,
and people are talking about it and they got cut out or something, edited out like in real time or something like that. So
Define
I don't know.
White phosphorus. You're
It's,
talking about
I mean,
for bombing?
Is that like
Chemical
bombing,
yeah.
Yeah, for bombing.
Which is obviously declared illegal under the Geneva Convention, but hey, who cares? It's war, right?
That's okay. Let's talk about that for a minute. So
Let's do it.
So here's the thing. America goes and attacks Iran, completely illegal, right?
Yeah.
Against international law. But and this is what's causing the problems. We're saying the quiet part out loud that literally there is no law. If you don't have the force, blah 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 blah, what are you going to do? Screw off.
Well, a problem with your statement is that you said America went and attacked Iran first. That's not a true statement. They are involved in the theft of our vote in 2020. There's proof of that. And so I would say that's an attack on we the people. And we've been shipping them money. Our big government's been shipping
right. So they blew up a lot of our infrastructure and our homeland, and that's what right? No, we punched someone in the face because they looked at us wrong, or they called us a name.
You think stealing our national vote, basically bringing in a coup in our country, is just looking at someone wrong?
I don't know if I ran
compared to killing a bunch of people and destroying infrastructure. Yeah. Blowing up a school, killing a bunch of kids. Yeah, I think it's a very big difference. But it's against international law. We broke the law. We bombed. It's not against international law to mess with someone's, election or do whatever. That's different. But we violated this international law. That's why a lot of the countries that we told them, this is your God, international law. We've made this here after World War II. This is how you will run your country. Every country in the EU is like, America will protect us. America will do what we need. America will take care of us. We have to worship international law and live a certain way. All of a sudden, America's like, international law? What are you going to do? So they're like, what? So now they're talking about they're cutting things off. EU, the chick said, America's done. We're finished. The way we have been told to live by America is not real anymore. So we have to. Everything's changing. Those days aren't coming back. She even said those days aren't coming back. This is the new world orders here. So the international law thing is what I don't like. Where do we go from here? What happens now that we've said there is no international law? We've kind of made a joke of it, a mockery of it. It's over. How do we not become tyrannical?
Have we not already become tyrannical?
It's a contraction. State power contracts like giving birth to a child. It isn't all at once. It slowly builds momentum, and eventually, it's just total despotism.
I mean, I agree with you. We have kind of become tyrannical. We do what we want in Venezuela. We're about to do what we want in Cuba, but and people are happy about it because we're going to fix Cuba. We might not even have to do anything because everyone's scared now. Like Cuba's like, they will do some messed up shit, and your family might die, my family might die. We might, this isn't like they're gonna hit us with sanctions and we can hurt our people and still live well. Like they're gonna come after us now. This is like serious. Which a certain people on the right, certain people on whatever group, they're like, yay for our side, but it's still wrong. I mean, when right and wrong is right and wrong, and if the ends can't really justify the means in every case. I mean, sometimes maybe, but if the law is unjust or whatever. But like you said, William, we really are. We are being tyrannical, and is there a way that we can go back to what we're supposed to be?
I wish we were more like Switzerland. What was more outlined in the
money laundering
Articles of Confederation and in the Constitution, that we wouldn't be involved in foreign wars and this kind of thing. It would be all America first. But unfortunately, Jefferson took us towards the Barbary Coast, right? So that went out the second U.S. president. But we were designed to be more like Switzerland, neutral with everything. That's what I mean by Switzerland, by meaning we would be neutral.
Well, they present as neutral, but that's not what's actually happening. That's the disconnect, is that whether something's a law or wrong or right is being interpreted by.
Well, I think we became a force for what's right, and we're very different. Remember, my mother explained to me when I was a kid that, like, the way it's always been done is whether you attack someone or they attack you or whatever. When you fight, if you win, what you get is yours. So if you take half of their country, a quarter of their country, whatever, their land. And my mother would say, even if we win, we give it all back to them. We move out of their country. We don't take over their stuff. And that's never been done before. It's like we're the most altruistic country in the world. It's like a total experiment. And no, I'm not the judge, Nana, but we have set up since World War II, this is what's right, this is what's wrong, this is what's legal, this is what's illegal, and we've kind of thrown it all out the window. And can we put the genie back in the bottle, or where do we go from here? What do we do? Because we can't really. Right now, I think it's every Nordic country has a arrest warrant for Netanyahu. Finland, all of them. But
as they should.
But the thing is, he can't get to Washington now if he goes through like a normal flight plan, because he has to go to one of those countries, and he would get arrested in any of those countries. But we're literally fighting a war for him. You know what I'm saying? It's a very odd thing. So that according to the laws that we've set and we've agreed to, he's a criminal, and like a international criminal, and would be arrested.
I don't think the two things are mutually exclusive. Like Mom said, perception is everything. Because people, yes, there's the issue that Israel wants this, but there's also the reality that Iran struck us first.
It's kind of, I guess it's thin tit for tat, and I don't think that warrants the destruction of infrastructure in any of the countries. And I'm so now anti-war, and I used to be the war hawk, fight them over there so we don't have to fight them here, and red, white, and blue, and all of those things. I used to be that person. I used to be that person, and now I'm so anti-war because it's rooted in corruption. It's rooted in evil. It's rooted in the worship of Baal. It's rooted in all of the things that are wrong. And I don't think it's rooted in really defending our borders. Our borders have been extended because we have over 200 bases around the world. We surrounded Iran with a bunch of bases. I don't think the Arab nations are very happy with the idea that we weren't able to protect them as well as they had hoped or thought. And that is going to, come to a rude awakening for us as well. We're playing with fire, and people that play with fire get burned. And I'm not saying that Iran is innocent in this at all. Please don't take me wrong here. I just think that politicians bring us to war. Governments bring us to war. The people in those countries don't bring us to war. I don't think that this war has been justified. I don't think that this war has been right at any level. And I don't think that we should have been there or should have attacked. If Israel had this big beef with Iran, then let them do it on their own. We have way too many problems here in America, way too many issues with our own infrastructure. And now we're going to bomb infrastructure somewhere else. And then we're going to be asked to pay for these bombings. I don't want my tax dollars to go towards, weapons of mass destruction, either it be, bombing, oil refineries and acid oil rain on a country, or water treatment facilities where then people, will die. I don't want any of that. I don't think our country should be part of that. And I don't think the majority of Americans want any part of it as well. For those who don't really investigate and look at what other countries are saying or what is being reported outside of our own country, and don't get me wrong, I also watch what's being reported internally as well. I try to get both sides to find the facts and the truth. It's difficult,
but there's so many sides now.
It is doable, and I don't think we are the good guy in this one at all.
Well, I think
you're really on point with all your comments. I think as a superpower, we have certain, that old Spider-Man thing, with great power comes great responsibility. And I don't think that neutral nations ever really accomplish much of anything, except they do tend to, protect their own people, which is, I guess, admirable. But it's hard to be, laying down in the mud and not get muddy. During, World War II, it's not like Ireland and Switzerland didn't do stuff behind the scenes. Everyone's guilty in war. But like you said, I think that just war in general, it's not just corruption. It just everything is greed and terrible. Like literally, when we're sending the money over to Ukraine, they were saying, "Hey, man, we're getting all this money back in contracts to rebuild the country."
Yeah.
It's from the get go. It was all bullshit. From the get go, it was all corruption. From the get go, it's all just evil. So yeah, I don't. I'm kind of with you. I'm against it in any form, but then I know it's a necessary thing because you've got to fight evil with power sometimes, and you have to destroy it. But it's what we always talk about with the system is so corrupt and so messed up that we can't trust it to make those decisions.
Right.
I mean, liberty. Oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead, Andrew.
I mean, liberty and power are, basically next door neighbors to one another. One's about control. It's, they don't want to be perceived as weak or vulnerable. The other one's about, spontaneity, and it can't sit still, and it contracts, and it bounces, and it shakes, and, it's got this new toy, and it's got to do something with it. And that's a big problem with our government, is that there's no impulse control there. They see something, they want to destroy it. They can't sit still long enough to actually negotiate a problem away. And they need an enemy, so they need propaganda. And why not deceive people in order to justify the propaganda? I mean, all these questions about 9/11, there's questions behind the scenes, but we don't ever really get any answers. The stuff with the Epstein stuff, there's a bunch of stuff. Who knows? Who's not to say that stuff isn't all made up anyways? I'm not saying it's not true, but we don't really know. We're just given at face value, and all everything we get on the news is face value.
Yeah,
it's
So
not on a
you gotta
blockchain for trustability to trust.
Yeah. And I mean, I've got books about World War II, and it's I haven't got a chance to read it, but basically it's just headline, how they manipulated the headlines in order to justify a war. 20+ million people dead for what? Just so some corrupt politician can say, "Oh, look, I'm clean. I'm above all you people. I'm perfect." No.
And if you look at the aftermath of it, so many corporations, like billions. I mean, before billionaire and billions was a thing, these were billion-dollar companies, and they were quiet billion-dollar companies. Those were all, World War II, especially Nazi companies that built everything on slave labor, and none of them went on trial. None of the civilian, company heads that killed just as much or more people died in their companies than they did, in camps. They were literally worked to death, and they just reaped the rewards of it. Like cookie companies, and if you look into it, it's a rabbit hole that'll blow your mind. And they're like mom and pop, considered around the world, these, corporations, and they're built on death.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. I just maybe it's just because now I'm such an anarchist or agorist that I don't see the value in a government, in a large bureaucratic federal government with all of its corruption that brings us to war, or takes us to war, even against the sentiment and the will of people. And people will say, it's because we're in the dark, we don't have all of the details and the information to make that judgment. And if you are a superpower, in my humble opinion, and you are going to take on the role of the policeman, or the police, I should say policeman, the police, the conflicts between two nations, then what do the police do? They call for backup, they get allies, right? And they separate the two. And they investigate, one versus the other to try to find where the truth is, but they keep them separate. They don't involve attacking, one side. Okay, maybe they arrest one side, but I think as the role of the police, you could you could quickly say, listen, either you both are going to go to your own corners, you're going to go your own separate ways, or we are going to step in and we're going to blow the hell out of both of you, both sides. That's what kind of a threat might be for both sides to keep the peace, and having that thought going in that we are here to keep the peace versus actually get involved. I think that's a different.
And then you would have to be an adult.
Remember when we were kids? Remember the movie Iron Eagle? Remember the way
I remember it
used to be? It's like this guy got
it. Was it a World War II movie?
No, it was like from the early '80s. This guy was a fighter pilot, and he got shot down or crashed in over in the Middle East, but it was one of the bad countries, and they grabbed him and they were torturing him and stuff. And his son, who was into jets and everything, and Louis Gossett Jr. was like his friend. Anyway, America's like, hey, you've taken one of our citizens. He was just flying there. We're gonna blow you up if you don't give our citizen back. That's what governments were supposed to do. If you go on vacation and somebody kidnaps you, your government's supposed to be like, hey, you got one of our citizens. We're gonna do something bad to you if you don't give us our citizen back. So they go in and they're like, oh, it just blew up one of your biggest oil refineries, cost you hundreds of millions of dollars. You're gonna release him? Like, no, we're not. And well, I just blew this up. What are you gonna release? That's I understand, that, but I don't know. I think there's so many boogeymen that like Iran's going to get a nuclear weapon. They're going to blow us up. Well, why didn't we ever do anything with North Korea? Why does North Korea, who's now Kim Jong-un came out and said, I'm putting 100% everything towards nuclear weapons. We're going 1,000% nuclear. I'm making tons of bombs. And it's just because he would have attacked Korea, the South Korea immediately. We know that.
It's been said that had Iran had nuclear weapons, Israel probably wouldn't have attacked them. Who knows? But I don't like that as a deterrent. But it's interesting thought. Now the idea that again, I guess we shouldn't look for government to help us in our personal lives. They're not going to come in as the cavalry and save us. So why will we even think that differently, that the government is going to use its naval power and air force and army to do good if we can't even trust them to do the right thing for us here locally from a federal level? So I think
like a bunch of cartoon naval ships and airplanes are coming in and say, we're with the government, we're here to help you. It's the same thing. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, so to think that they're going to act in our best behalf outwardly with death and destruction, I think is a bad way to look at it. And it comes back to the trust. I just don't trust it. And my wife was in Iraq. She came back messed up. Her cancer's been related to her service in Iraq. My father was exposed to a lot of radiation during the testing, and that was the most probable cause for his brain tumor and ultimately his death. So, I think that we have to step back and look at it from a different perspective.
All the sophisticated equipment and measuring equipment that we had that was for the chemical weapons that went off constantly, and they had to put their mop gear on sometimes 2-3 times a day. But all that was off.
Go home, get a good shower. We'll see you in the morning.
It was a glitch. It was a glitch. It was constantly going off, and then all of a sudden, all this stuff happens, and people are getting sick. But trust them. Trust them. It was those were glitches. They didn't actually detect any chemical weapons that were out there. Yeah.
I just I don't know. I just don't trust our government enough to enact war on another nation anymore, because I don't trust them to do the right thing here locally either.
Yeah. Well, that's the
I don't
basic
even
common
trust the
sense.
state government, having been at a state level, for a small stint as lobbying for a cause and seeing the corruption there. I don't even trust it there. And
That's
that's
the
what
common
made
sense
it.
that most people have lost. It's like, I don't trust the government. I don't trust the government. I don't trust the government. The government should be the only people with guns, though. It's like,
But there is hope. There is hope. I mean, unfortunately, we go through pain, right, for a better outcome and to learn and to have opportunity, see opportunity. I also think, unfortunately, hopefully, we will learn this time. The two lessons is World War I. There were so many treaties and intertwined that if you attack this country, then we're going to attack you, and that just became so entangled that it was almost inevitable that there was going to be a world war, right? That's how history portrays it. The second one is, if we had to put it differently, now I'm not Catholic, but had the Pope been taken out by a government that was, say, a Protestant government, would the death of that Pope make Catholics say, ooh, you know what? I think I'm going to rethink this and become a Protestant. I think instead they're going to become more resolved in their belief and the martyrdom of the Pope. And they're more people are going to go to Mass and support the Catholic Church. I don't think we have to think that Iran is a theocracy, and taking out its supreme leader, who is like a prophet, isn't going to get you that outcome. I think that was short-sighted thinking on our behalf. So bring our boys home, park the aircraft carriers along our borders, and say, don't touch us. We got nukes. And the rest of you are going to have to deal with your own thing. We're done with the police thing. We got a huge debt. And you, Europe and Asia, wherever we guarded you, we ran up a huge military debt to protect you. And we're going to now focus on ourselves. Americans first. That's how I would do it. And
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. Shut down a lot
That's
of those
just reality.
bases because, hey, you didn't pay us enough to protect you and be the police of the world. And you're second guessing us being the police of the world. That's fine. We'll bring our aircraft carriers and park them along our coast, and we'll protect our borders, and we'll strengthen our own borders and protect and rebuild our infrastructure. And you know what? Rather than bombing other countries and having all these bases everywhere, maybe we could fix our healthcare system.
William, did you hear what I said about Elon Musk turning off all the Starlinks?
No, I was running upstairs and getting my lights on. And
this week, Elon Musk turned off all the Starlinks that the Russian soldiers have been using.
I didn't even know they were using.
They were not just that they've been using, but they've become dependent on them.
Oh.
All because they work so much better than their systems. So over the past 2 years, they've been funneling in thousands of them through Kazakhstan and other countries.
Wow.
But he shut it off, but he did it, and the Ukrainians knew, and they moved in, and they took like 40 miles within 24 hours.
Oh, that's why the Ukrainians had that advancement.
Yeah,
I knew they had an advancement, but I wasn't really following.
So it was because, and they had no drones, they had no eyes, they had no artillery, they had nothing. And then their stuff had been like mothballed. They couldn't even get it up and running because they had been totally using this. And then the Ukrainian intelligence took over. They had like fake Starlink help. So the Russian soldiers are calling in and giving their IP address and location of where they're at with their satellite, and they're just bombing that location and blowing them up. So blowing up their artillery, everything. But my point is that, did we police the world to make them dependent on us, like Russia was dependent on that, to where now international law, what is that we've made? What is that we told you had to live by? Now you're dependent on us. You don't have a military. The UK can't even defend itself in its own borders now. So they're totally dependent on us. Is now when we start saying you need to start paying us directly if we're gonna, be protecting you. Also, as far as the international law thing, did you hear about what Australia ordered their troops to do?
No,
No.
So Australia had tons. They're buying the submarines.
Australia's lost, by the way, in my opinion.
They had, but you know how they're buying the submarines from the United States.
Mhm.
Supposedly, sometime we've kind of screwed them over, but they had tons of troops on all the submarines, training and learning for when they ordered all troops anywhere to their bunks, and they weren't even allowed to watch anything that happened when all the attacks happened. Any attacks on Iran, U.S. or Australian soldiers have to be in their quarters and can't even watch.
That's wild.
Yeah, I don't know.
Uh,
I don't know.
Yeah. As for what Stuart said, could you bring that back up,
Sure,
Lisa?
yeah, because I wanted to comment on that too, as well.
Yeah, it says, as a former detective, I have a little different aspect of what policing involves. We work in a box as we should be, or we work in a box as we should be constitutional rule to attempt to maintain order in civil society. I want to comment on that.
Yes.
The current legal system is kind of incestuous because there's people know each other and they trust each other, and there's no quality control. If somebody steps in, like, oh, he's a good guy, and you have to worry about that because it not in the moment, but that escalates over time, and that's what leads to entropy and corruption within the legal system. And I'm not sure if Stuart wants to reply to that or not, but that's just something I was thinking of when he said that, and whatever William would want to speak about.
I was going to comment exactly what he has said. Attempt to maintain order in a civil society. The same goes back. Attempt to maintain order in a civil world between governments. I don't know. That's a taller order.
Yeah.
We have a different constitution than the next country and the next country and the next country. We have different cultures and different beliefs, eye for an eye versus turn the cheek. And I think that makes it much more difficult. So to try to maintain order in a civil society, we know how humans are ugly and evil.
But he's exactly right when he says he's in a box, because when you are policing, you are forced effectively into a boxed situation. You're boxed into a corner because there's certain things, certain laws that you need to enforce, but then at the same time, there's certain laws that maybe shouldn't be enforced. And there are certain things that for any cop, it's a judgment base. Like, do I really want to waste time with this that doesn't mean anything? Like, so let's say some Karen calls on somebody that they don't like, and they're free to be, it's public, it's at the city hall, somebody's standing outside with a sign, but they don't like it because it makes them feel it hurts their feelings, and they're scared. The cop is going to have to deal with the judgment scenario. Like, do I really enforce this because they're not breaking the law? Or do I go actually enforce what crimes are out there being committed and actually go patrol and use my judgment call on that? Because when you're patrolling, you're going to have the ability to actually see and survey and notice things. You got to be vigilant. And then when you get a real call for a crime and you're not tied up to bogus shit, like somebody standing outside City Hall because some Karen worker is scared for her life. Oh no, because there's a homeless man standing there. Perhaps perhaps you shouldn't focus anything on that. Perhaps you should focus on the call of, somebody just kicked in my door, and luckily they ran when they heard me go click, click. But somebody just kicked in my door and I need to figure things out, and maybe that needs to be investigated and then find out who that is, so they don't kick in someone else's door and something worse happens. So and that's where I think that's what he means when he's working in a box, is your attempt to constitutionally maintain order in what's supposed to be a civil society, but yet you have your hand tied behind your back because there's so many other laws on the books that people interpret and try to flip because they're trying to place what's legal with feelings. They're trying to be relative, and in reality, we shouldn't be relative. There is things that are objectively wrong, and there are things that are objectively right. And I'm sorry, the homeless man holding a sign, even if they are panhandling, isn't committing a crime. Doesn't even matter if your city says that it's illegal. The Constitution says otherwise, and so does the Supreme Court. So, yeah. I mean, so at the same time, I think somebody kicking in someone's door, somebody getting caught mugging someone on the street, like those are the crimes that need to be looked at. Those are what needs to be investigated.
Well, I think
that's what's the problem.
The thing here is a civil society. To William's point, it's different for us than it is for other. Some countries you can smack your wife. Some countries can, kill your dog if it poops on the road. There's so many things that are so different, and that's in that civil society. And the box is like what I think put ourselves in. Once again, if you have power, then you have to have that responsibility. Mm-hmm. Growing up in different countries, there's like some countries the police have like so much authority, but then they kept themselves on a leash. Like Germany, they had these rubber billy clubs. They were hard rubber. Like they'd hit you and then it would whack you like 2 more times, and they could beat the shit out of you. And all they really had to do was say that it was, justified. There wasn't a huge investigation, but then there wasn't a lot of cops beating the crap out of people like there is here, where it's supposed to be very illegal for, any kind of excessive force to be used. They had like much more freedom to do that, but then they didn't.
They restrained themselves. Yeah.
So all the cops were walking around with automatic weapons like Uzis, but there was not much police gunfire. It was very, very different.
I think that's the problem with here is the fact that you don't have to Andrew's point, it is incestuous because you do have the good cops don't typically, it's great when they do stick it out, but the good cops are brought to a level to where they have to stay silent and try to do their job, but at the same time stay silent or else they lose their job. And possibly even worse, like maybe even get set up in something, because you do have so much bad, because there really isn't a true filtration system and trying to ensure that to incentivize good people to actually become a cop, enforce the law, uphold the law, because it is incestuous, because there is so many over regulation within our society today that the focus on real crime is being it's anarcho-tyranny 101. It's basically don't focus on the real crime, let the criminals run amok, focus on the little things so that the law-abiding have to be subdued and submit to the authority of the state. And that's where you have anarcho-tyranny. That's lawlessness. And you have great cops, but they have their hand tied behind their back because of all the piss poor like evil that ends up going into the ranks. And that's where we're having an issue now. And of course, social media doesn't help when everybody has a camera in their pocket, so they can just flip out and they can misconstrue certain excessive forces that actually have a means to that force and say, well, that's excessive. In reality, like, well, what's the context? And then you end up
what happened 5 minutes prior and all those things.
Yeah.
Right? What was
and then
and
he did respond. He did respond real quick. We'll bring that up in a second.
Yeah, I don't want to get too into the whole policing thing, but we can. Yeah, absolutely. Stuart's comments are spot on.
Let's go for it. Just want
love it. Thank you for joining.
Just want to kind of build on some stuff that I was thinking about from yesterday and kind of flesh it out here real quick. We've had year over year, century or we've had example after example of governments who tried to build their and sustain their existence on law and order. You got United States, you got Soviet Union, you got what's it called, Israel. Every time the situation is imperfect. In the Soviet Union, there was so little, it was so rigid that it eventually collapsed on itself. And in the United States, for example, there's so many laws in it that they can't possibly enforce them all because it's continuously developing and growing.
You know why?
Because they're poorly scaling. But go ahead.
I honestly, now I'm going to bring a religious base to it, a biblical aspect. We're trying to govern laws as if we are enmeshed in the book of Judges rather than take up on the idea of Romans 13.
Okay.
That's how. Go on, Andrew.
I was going to basically say that we've had an example of this in our history that was the religious nature. It's what's it called? The Salem witch trials, right? And the problem there was it starts off in the fringes, and eventually it gets to a point where someone stands up and said, "This is totally ridiculous." And there was a guy during the Salem witch trials. He wouldn't put in. He was the only person, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, the only person in American history who was tortured because he wouldn't say he was guilty or not guilty. And they put stones on him until he died. It was like 2 days later. And there's a legal term for that. It's called accusation creep. And it gets to the point where the people at the top realize that they're way out of line, and they had to go back and reform the situation within the legal code to address a specific issue that should have been handled at the very bottom, but it took going all the way to the top. And you see that this, like with Joe Biden, how he lost his son over in the Middle East, right? And he actually had empathy for what's going on over there. This is something that is expensive to learn. It's an expensive lesson for people to learn because it's not happening to them. It's not happening. It's only happening. They're only experiencing the lesson to learn from it when it's somebody like them or their kids. And I've seen about police officers who tried to step out and say, "Hey, look, you can't be, tasing these people because look what this did to my kid." And it didn't take until it takes a momentum, but eventually enough people get the message. Say, maybe we're overreacting. But it's definitely something that needs to have more momentum. People have to realize that maybe we're not always making the best choices, and we're not doing it on purpose. Police officers are people too. They have a lot of things to do, a lot of different things. People, I don't want to put up with you. Just you're going to jail for being difficult. And then there's people that actually, are trying to do better for their society.
Andrew, tasing is a funny thing to bring up because technically any police officer that's used a taser is guilty of a war crime because it's against the Geneva Convention laws that we agreed to, that we helped set up. If you use electricity to coerce or force anyone to do anything, it's a war crime. It's literally what a taser is.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so it's just one of those examples of what's practical, what's done, and what's law.
Too many laws on the books or old laws or
people.
But does the Geneva Convention have merit and bearing and authority over how the U.S. governs its citizens? Yeah, I get the spirit of the Geneva Convention. I certainly do. It's just kind of ironic. I mean, we certainly haven't seen Nuremberg 2.0, and millions of people think we should have or should.
Yeah, but I think we need a new. I don't think we should use that as a baseline because Nuremberg was a kind of a joke.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But that's a good point, Sean. Thank you. I don't know. Just goes back to the idea of power. Power corrupts, right? You see that with the concept of the idea of the prison guard and how they treat a prisoner. There's just something in our human frailty that snaps, and people aren't looked at as people anymore. And then the laws, like we've often said, and Joe has said here many times, and we've supported the idea that there is no law. And when we say there is no law, it's because people aren't held accountable, or it's not enforced, or it's enforced unequally. Courts are swayed towards one side or the other. There's bad cops, there's good cops that get involved. There's bad, DAs and good DAs. There's politics that get involved, and all of that makes it a kind of an unfair court. A real good example is the SEC case with Dragon Chain, and all those years of fighting and the millions of dollars lost and market cap in the billions lost, and then say, "Oh, we're sorry, we were wrong. You're right. We're done here." Well, yeah, the damage had already been done. There is no law. That's the idea behind it, because it was a political fight. It had nothing to do with what Dragon Chain was doing or not doing. Dragon Chain wasn't greasing palms of the people in power.
I think this brings a lesson to the gospel reading today, which comes out of Luke 11, verse 17. I'm going to read. Jesus says, to the Pharisee, every kingdom divided against itself. This is when he's accused of casting out demons for Beelzebub. But every kingdom divided against itself is laid waste, and every house falls upon every house. And I think that's where we're at in today's society when it comes to the law. Is we're divided against ourselves. We're divided against ourselves, and we're coming to a close. We're collapsing in on ourselves because we think that what is wrong is right and what is right is wrong. Going back to echoing Isaiah at this point. So
I heard something yesterday I thought was really profound, and I started really contemplating about it and came to the conclusion I believe that it is accurate. And what was said was, nationalism is not natural. Nationalism is not natural. And the idea being that nationalism comes from the concept of propaganda and supporting lies, or it's kind of like exciting delusions of grandeur. And
it's a byproduct of prestige.
Yes, and it's used as a control and a manipulation tactic. So when you put it in that perspective, then it goes. You got to kind of go down below the national level and maybe go into cultural, and then go into your local family and community and friends network and who you surround yourself with, to find be grounded, shall we say, or come to an agreement on rules and policy. And that brings us to that division. If nationalism is unnatural, it will ultimately lead to division, because truth will be found within there, and the propaganda will no longer work, and we will become more and more divided. And if we become more and more divided, we're segregating ourselves amongst each other to like-minded individuals who believe in the same things that we do. And that's where peace can be found. But then those groups will still clash in that division, right? That's where I guess you have to insert the morality and the belief that property rights and doing right by others, or the golden rule, these kinds of things.
Well, I think that's that kind of feeds into what we've been talking about. Is that there's certain allergic perspectives between different types of people. Some people think, the safety in numbers, and other people think the safety and independence. And those two points of view constantly clash with one another. And it's not even something that, it's just a natural thing. People have allergic perspectives to one another's point of view, and you can't really outlive that. It's just a repeating pattern throughout history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good point. One more comment here from Stuart. I did my job as someone that I thought was attempting to help a society of good people. Doing so meant that I had to confront those that meant to bring harm to those good people. It was simple to me. That's a great point. Yeah.
It is.
Protector.
It's important, to keep a civil society, like you were saying before. The problem is, once, there's nothing to do, you had to bring in people from the outside, and that mixes the conversation, and it, escalates the tension between groups of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a serious thing to consider, is that, the message that you're trying to participate towards as a society gets diluted when you bring in new groups of people.
Yeah.
That's what happened in the Soviet Union. Every time they try to, protest and have a voice of independence from the central government, they would bring somebody in from a different part of the Soviet Union and dilute their message.
Right. Nana, you're exactly right. What property rights? I wasn't meaning in property rights from a government perspective. I was meaning it from an individual or a group, a community that respects each other's, property. That's what I was meaning. I wasn't meaning in any shape or form as the state. You're absolutely right. Property rights, they tax it and they reassess the value so the insurance companies can charge more, so the tax money coffers grow, and it's theft. It's theft on an unrealized capital gain. So you're having to pay that property tax, even though you didn't cash out and sell that property and then pay the tax.
I think
right.
the thing about civil society, and William, what you and me both believe, I think that's why there's such an attack on people, because if you make people shitty, you don't have to worry about stopping what we believe should be the course for human history, for humans, because they can't do it, because they're not evolved enough or good enough to create a civil society with each other, civil community, because it is the strong that preys on the weak. It is people that want to have greed and get as much as they can or get more than the other guy, even if they don't want that, just to have more than the other guy. So if you just focus on making crappy people, or people as crappy as possible, then you don't have to worry about the big picture, because it'll never happen. You can't have true agorism, because people aren't good enough to want to just help each other and to live happily and peacefully.
In smaller groups, you certainly can.
Yeah, it's smaller, but that's what I'm saying. It can't grow unless people grow, and that's why I think there's such a focus on making people.
Or you segregate yourself.
Greedy, crappy, but even then, it's like there's only a certain point you can go to get it to really happen, to where we kind of move forward as a true, race, not just a society, as a true people. Yeah. We have to start, people have to work on themselves more.
One more other comment to Nana, what about property rights? Do they raise your taxes, etc.? Like I said, I believe that taxes are theft, and property taxes are the worst, even worse than income tax, in my opinion. But this is also another example, is there is no law. Most people don't believe in property taxes, but they charge them anyway, and they're going to come with guns and take your property away if you don't pay it. So the theft gets deeper and darker. So the argument to support the argument there is no law, because we really don't want to recognize that this is theft, or some people are just ignorant to that effect. Ignorant not in that they can't understand, they're just ignorant to
Yeah.
the concept that it's theft.
There's law, there's human law, laws created by humans to answer a fear, but that's not really law. That's called positive law.
Mhm.
And what William is talking about is we need natural law or negative law, and that's the laws of nature. The laws of the universe.
Consequence and accountability.
Consequences and accountability. Diverse points of view plus proximity and forced integration equals conflict. That is a law of reality. That is not a law of that's an economic. That's a natural law. And that's what a bunch of people are in this space for, is to learn a different perspective of there's different points of view in ethics, there's different points of view in law. And that's what we're all here, is we're trying to improve our understanding of the situation that we're in.
Yeah, like what Zach here said. This is a good debate right here. E Mustard 138. Property
agree.
rights don't exist. Land is a finite resource that shouldn't be allowed to be owned by individuals.
Well, that's another current event.
Going
yeah.
to that both egoism and the idea of stewardship. I like that from what Mustard said.
And
But go on, Lisa.
Yeah, what were you gonna say?
I was just saying there's a current event. So in Oklahoma, there's been, and actually nationally, I've been following a lot of the tribal issues that have been happening, and how a lot of the power has been given back to the tribes, even over water plants and land, waterways, all of that are being acknowledged as being in there over, or have the power of, because that is their mindset typically, is that no one owns the land, that you're a steward of the land. There was a more recent case. So there was a McGirt case in Oklahoma, where the person was doing things but said, well, you can't come pick me up because you're federal government, I'm Indian, and this was on Indian land. And they've been playing that out to say, who has the right or authority in that situation. There's a more recent issue that just came up this week of somebody pushing back and saying, I'm a Native American and I should not have to pay taxes. And so if you rethink what a Native American is, well, were your parents American and you were born in America? Maybe that's a whole new discussion that we have of, and maybe we stop even thinking I know that we have the thought or the idea that smaller groups are more easily managed and whatever of people. But what if we were to dilute it so much that we included the whole world as our neighbor? And then we wouldn't have these, if we wanted everyone to win, because we realize we're all connected and we benefit when someone else has a win in this collective consciousness, then maybe we would all rise together. I mean, that's probably a little lofty wish, but
yeah,
I think there's
some people that believe that there shouldn't be any borders.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be, national borders. There's some people that believe that you need national borders to protect national borders, to protect your culture, because if you lose your culture and your culture becomes spread to the wind, it essentially.
But what if you change the definition and culture is humanity, all of humanity?
Yeah. It's really, really, really difficult.
Some people believe that if you're going to have immigration, they should be sponsored, and there should be insurance for that sponsorship.
Yeah. I'll go back and say what I've always said. I believe that if you eliminated the federal government, you would have problems. But those problems would be easier problems to solve. And they would be different problems, but easier problems to solve.
Well, the states outsourced the responsibility to the federal government, which complicated the situation.
Yes.
And it's like we were saying earlier about the church and stuff like that. It's a natural reaction.
And each state has its own culture, and that federal system encroaches upon that culture of those states sometimes, and the states still bow down because they've been bribed, they've been paid off. Well, if you don't fight this, and we're going to cut you off of this federal monies for X, Y, and Z, program. Oh well, okay, we better not. And and so then the people become subservient of the feds, in a controlled elitist system. Unfortunately,
that culture thing is very, very, very interesting to me. I've been thinking about that. I remember when I was driving across the country, and I like literally crossed the border in Virginia to West Virginia, and it was like 20 miles. And we're stopped at one place to go to the bathroom or something, and people were like, "Hello, how are you? Well, really nice to meet you." And we crossed to West Virginia to get gas, and they were like, "Hey, how y'all doing?" It was like this little bit of highway, and it was so different. It was just night and day. And because when you look at America's like just ridiculously big, nobody understands that. Especially if you live here, it's hard to wrap your head around. Like most of Europe can fit just in Texas, and that's like a whole continent. But if you look at Ireland, it's a little country, and they have different counties. But each one of their counties has this weird total culture. They all believe different stuff. Like some of them are the cheapest people. Some of them, it's like they all believe in ghosts, but they all speak a totally different language. You got like the Lucky Charms people from County Cork, and then you have people that talk much. There's just a few miles, and their culture is drastically different. So, I mean, we don't really differ that much by counties in America, but I think our states they were meant to be different, countries. But we everywhere has their own culture.
Fascinating. What else is going on? By the way, in 3 minutes, we have a housekeeping item I'd like to address before we then get into our closing. What do we got? What else in the world of current events need to be
render unto Caesar his fake money?
We have the ability to solve these problems and insert
I think the
part of the solution.
I think blockchain is part of the solution, but I think we also need to get back to, we just need to hand Caesar back all of his fake money that his face is on, and then give ourselves back to who owns our hearts. I think blockchain can help that.
The repent coin.
I think there's a problem with the way of thinking, and that's
yes.
The hardest thing is that we have to change our way of thinking, and a lot of people I think don't have the ability even to do that anymore. But like, who is the government to tell us what we can use to interact with each other financially? If we said, like you said, Zach, it was, we're not going to use this fiat anymore. We're going to use whatever.
Dentacoin.
The government would come in and say, no, you have to use, this is legal tender. And we get so excited. Oh, this country made Bitcoin legal tender and blah. And it's like, take away their authority to do that and give it.
And I say, and I say, screw you, government. I'm going to use Dentacoin. I'm going to bring it back. We're going to use Dentacoin, and it's going to be something that's tangible, has value, especially when you can tokenize it and make your dental bill cheaper. Because you know how those bills fly out, and insurance barely covers your dental anyways, as it is. So
Zach, that's gay. I mean, you sound like a fairy.
Hey,
that's
Stuart,
gay.
you're welcome.
Then I guess me and Andrew are gay.
Speak for yourself, pal.
Yeah.
Hey, you're the one that
the tooth fairy. That's what I was trying to say. Zach, I apologize. I was trying to say the tooth fairy. No, anyway.
The tooth fairy is kind of gay. Especially if you watch the one with the rock in it. That's gay.
I barely remember that. One of my kids loved Thumbelina, and he would just run around the house. Dad, I'm the Prince of the Fairies. That's good. That's great. But his brother's like, I'm Conan. I'm the Prince of the Fairies. Let's fight. And
Shout
it was
out
so
to,
funny later on.
Yeah. Shout out to Larkin Rose. He just had his whole top teeth removed, and then, they drilled into his skull to put implants. He's had problems with his teeth all his life, and his audience helped pay for that. So
That's
if
awesome.
anyone who knows who Larkin Rose is, he's one of the most articulate anarchists out there. Anyway, well, the item I wanted to bring up from a housekeeping item is that I believe we don't have the votes. We haven't figured out next week and the following week how many weeks are here in March for Thursdays. Yeah, 2 weeks. So I don't think next week and the following weeks themes have been decided.
Really?
There were all the votes landed on 2 themes and not 4.
Oh my gosh, we've never had that happen before.
Wait, yeah.
So I'm gonna bring that screen up, and maybe I figure we'll just do a. How do you feel
Audible,
about doing an audible? But I wanted to show you what those were.
Stuart made a really good comment too.
Oh yeah, what was that?
I live by the rule that hard times, loss, and disagreement have never developed character, but they always expose it.
That's a great saying.
That is
good.
great.
Welcome, Stuart. Glad you joined us. Welcome
Yeah.
to the new subscriber. Appreciate that. Oh, that's good. That is really good. Okay, so I got it small. Maybe let me bring it in. There was
Zoom in, baby.
What?
He said, "Zoom in, zoom in."
Yeah.
Only
How
one
does blank
panelist
work?
answers correctly and must go first.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Ask blockchain technology, software, and code computer science questions. Can blockchain keep AI honest? Seemed like we already talked about that one. It was just a different one that was worded differently. Mining blockchain versus 100% token availability on launch day. That's an SEC CFTC issue. Rest in peace, Web 3.0. Yeah, like you said, I like this one. That'd be fun. Only one panelist answers correctly and must go first. Can blockchain? This might be apropos for next week.
How can it prevent
17 years of Bitcoin? This was for January. Can you believe it's 17 years of Bitcoin?
That's wild.
That is wild.
Is it safe to launch blockchain projects in the U.S. or in Europe?
Nope.
I would opt for Iran. Just saying no. Crypto anarchy replacing state functions with blockchain. And blockchain time machine. What would you change? Seems like we talked about that one too. Or did we not? Well, it was different. It was a different time machine.
Yeah, we pretty much talk about that almost every episode, really. Like, what would we change? We kind of imply it. That would be a fun one, though.
Yeah,
it would. So, how do you think we should do it? I guess kind of go with free form kind of thing, and what we could do at the start of the show. I don't know. We could plug in a couple of these and just talk about them.
Yeah.
As questions, I could put in 3 of these themes or something, or 4.
I really would like Joe and Greg to be here for some of those.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
The more technical.
Like this one, how does blank work? Technical questions from the panel.
I
like
like that one.
That would be good because my dishwasher's been on the fritz, and I want them to tell me what I need to fix.
And how would blockchain fix it?
All right, so real quick, anybody, how would you like to? You want just?
I'll go first because I've got to run. I think this will still keep going. I am because you're signed in. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
And the reason I have to run is I have a show right now with Bix Weir from Road to Ruta, and Jenny Moonstone Constantine. So when you guys are finished here, please join me on my channel, like Quinn Lisa on YouTube, or on X at Lisa Mighty Davis for that show. So
Is that the one
Sweet.
with the T?
Go Bix.
I love that one.
yes, it's the T.
Yeah. I love that one.
The T.
And I love.
All right. Hey, Lisa, thanks again for having Sean and I this past Friday. That was fun.
Yes, it was so much fun. Yeah, check out my happy hour from last week, and you can see these two characters. Or is it this way? It was a lot of fun. So thanks. Love you guys. Have a great week.
See ya.
Bye.
Zach, what's going on with you, sir?
Let's go check out the Legacy Right. Yesterday we did a segment going off a video from The Forgotten, which is a history channel, diving into the Turks and the Ottoman Turks and their repressive regime against all functions of society and religious persecution, economic servitude, etc. And we attempt to ascertain why it is that rights realistically don't exist. They are social constructs. And so through those social constructs, we try to find the silver lining of how do we prevent ourselves from being forced into a scenario where we lose and erode our rights as human beings. So go check that out and like and subscribe to the Legacy Right, as well as everybody like Coin Lisa, Satoshi Sean, Dragon Chain, Den.social, all across all of social media and YouTube. And that's about it.
Andrew, talk to us.
Hey, make sure you check us out on X. I'm at AI Conan 90, and Zach is at Legacy_Zach, if I remember correctly. He's already put us over on YouTube and stuff like that. Check us out on Spotify, and hey, just enjoy the program if you watch it.
Nice. Sean.
Check me out, So Sean, on my socials, YouTube. Me and Lisa do a show on Tuesday, True Tuesday. Kind of like more just the topics like we're doing here today. I try to make it on a Legacy Right, but they do it when I have family night, so it's a little tough. But
When you did make it, it was a good episode.
I watched. There's also there's another video you should watch where these nuns like really fought back, and I mean they did terrible stuff to him, but they kept the faith alive and all. It was pretty good.
Nice. All right. Well, thanks. Well, everybody, I want to appreciate everyone for watching. I apologize for my tardiness. I had tariffs to pay and I couldn't get here on time. So
how dare you?
Yeah, dare I? Right? And they wouldn't accept
to Iran.
They wouldn't
It
accept
was Iranian tariffs.
Spread the blockchain. Spread the blockchain. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Remember, next week's show will be same place, same time, same channel, all that good stuff. You can follow me on X at IamForAmWe or Den.social. And if anyone wants to talk about post-labor economics, which kind of ties into AI, I lost my job, now what? Or society loses their jobs, now what? Then I'm more than happy to come on a podcast and talk about that.
Next Wednesday.
There you go. Anyway, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. And please give a like and share and thumbs up wherever you're watching this. And we shall see you all next week. Thanks again.
America's not the government, people. The America is you. It is the Grand fucking Canyon, the Rocky Mountains, the deserts of the Southwest, the Pacific fucking Ocean, the Atlantic fucking Ocean. It is the grandest continent. And what the fuck have you people done? You have turned yourself into sheep, every goddamn one of you.